Hi, it's Therese from Lostinpaper, and today I'm here for Scrapbook Boutique, and I have made a kids card today, and it's time to colour with you. And I've got some Prismacolor pencils, and we're going to be colouring these really cool images from Neat and Tangle, which the set's actually called Wild Ones. Although they don't look particularly wild, they're more cute than wild, but they are wild animals. I suppose that's why it's called Wild Ones. Anyway, I'm going to make my own little scene and have got some Onyx black ink, and I'm actually stamping and masking out my images before I do my colouring because I don't want to layer them up. I don't want to have to cut them out or die cut them out. I wanted it to be a fairly flat card today. The giraffe and the tortoise are in the front, so I've actually stamped them first, masked them with some stamp masking paper, and then I can just stamp my monkey in between. And if you do notice, I have actually stamped him a little bit higher than the other two images, and then it looks like he's standing behind them. I have decided to colour with my Prismacolor pencils today. I did allow this a little bit of time to dry, but not a lot. I find that the Onyx black does stamp out, even though it's a pigment ink, it does dry quite quickly. So when I'm colouring with my Prismas, I'm only actually pressing very lightly on the paper, on the cardstock. It's hard to tell. It's a really smooth white cardstock I'm using. And I'm just laying down the colour, and then I'm coming in after I've laid down my base colour with a second colour like that I want to use as the sort of the shadow colour. Then I'm putting this where I think that the shadows ought to be, or rounding off the edges or behind. It doesn't really matter. I'm not getting too pedantic about light sources and things like this. This is a kid's card. It's meant to be fun and not too stressful. And then I'm coming in with my Gamsol or my odorless white mineral spirit and a blending stump, and then I can actually just smooth out my colour with that. The trick is not to add too much liquid, but then it can't be too dry that it doesn't actually blend the colours. So I do actually sometimes test my stump off to the side or clean it off to the side. That's another good way. I do tend to keep a stump for each colour family rather than have to come in and change them all the time as well. So I will list all the colours that I use over at my blog. I will include most of the colouring here today, and you'll see a bit later on that I come in and add some shadows over the whole sort of 3 images with some black, and I'm just pressing that very lightly to create my shadows. It's just a really easy trick to do to add some depth. Alright, so I'm going to leave with the colouring now, and I'll be back when all of that is done. Alright, so I kind of marked, I didn't actually colour the whole giraffe, you may have noticed. That's because I knew I was going to have to cut this panel down because it's going to be popped up on my card front. And I'm just using my guillotine paper trimmer. I really like the way that this machine cuts. It has a real crisp edge on it. I'm still not used to holding my paper sometimes, so I do have to concentrate, but I'm sure that I'll get better as time moves along. I've got a couple of paper pads here and just trying to choose some colours that I thought would look nice with this image, and I've got one's from MFT and it's a really nice bright coloured paper pad and it's called Graphic Grid, and the other one is Knock on Wood from Lawn Fawn. So I've cut two pieces of cardstock that are the same width as the base of my card out of the two colours that I've chose, and then I'm holding them together while I cut an angled sort of design on with both of them. But I'll show you what I'm going to do with that later on, but first I just want to stamp out the sentiment. This comes from the same set and it just says Go Wild. I found this is the easiest way to get a two-tone sentiment. The Misty is perfect for this. So I've stamped it once with some oxide ink and I've used a couple of colours, the Spiced Marmalade, and then what I've done is just touch the top of the word with the frayed burlap and then just re-stabbed. Isn't that great? It just is such an easy way to get that ombre kind of style. Now it's time to assemble my card. I've added the ATG to the front of the card, and this is why I cut these on an angle. I just thought it would be just a fun kind of, you know, something a little bit different in the background rather than just use one colour. And I was sort of tossing up the idea of a white background, but decided no. Kids cards, design paper, it's a great mix. I just had to turn cardstock over and I used my spring cush grip, is that what they're called? The spring-loaded scissors to cut that off. These are my new ones. I shouted myself a new pair because they're back and available again, and I love them. My old pair are 10 years old and they're fantastic. And to pop up my panel, I have added some fun foam and also some score tape. It's always such a joy to remove the release paper, but I know it's going to hold well. This tape adheres really well. And that's pretty much my finished card for today. I just had to pop up my sentiment and I added a few little enamel dots. Thanks for joining me. I'll be back again real soon. Till next time, happy paper crafting. Bye.